Hey YouTube, it's Landon with Order the Traveling Hats, and today I'm going to do a video to show you guys how to rotate your tires. This is a video for beginners or people that maybe have never owned a Jeep and want to get started, or people even that have owned a Jeep for a while and taken their Jeep to a service center for this. This is something you can do at home with basic hand tools. It's really not that difficult. I'm also going to show you several things that you can inspect while you've got the tires off just to keep your Jeep in tip-top condition. So let's get started. Alright, so we're going to get started with this. I'm going to show you where we're going to jack the Jeep from. We got to get under the Jeep to do that, so here we go. Oh, so good jack points I find are on the mount for the lower control arm and actually hitting the lower control arm. That's a great spot to put a jack. And you got another one just right over there. You can kind of see it. Probably better from that angle. So you can see that point right there. You can set a jack stand on that and it works great. It's a little bit lower. We're going to jack from the differential and probably over here on the axle shaft, over here on the skid plate for the disconnect mechanism in the front axle, but you can hit the tube of the axle there and get a jack on that pretty easy. We're going to chalk the back up and then we'll get the back on some jack stands as well. So the way we get them off, with an impact wrench, 7/8 socket, impact socket, little extension, and we just run them out, okay? So really, got those on tight. And that's it. So we're just going to take these off by hand the rest of the way and then get the tire off. So just make a little stack of lug nuts and slide the tire off. Now, I typically like to set the tire. Whoop. All right, so I typically like to set the tire underneath the Jeep just in case it fell. It fall on the tire and not the axle hitting the ground. So we're gonna go around and do the other side now real quick. All right, so that's all 4 tires off. Now, as I said before, and we're showing the diagram here, you wanna take the 2 rear tires and go straight up to the front of the vehicle. But the front tires, you want to bring them back and switch sides. So that front passenger side tire is gonna go on the rear driver, and the front driver's side tire is gonna go on the rear passenger, and then the 2 rear tires are just gonna move forward. Pretty easy and self-explanatory. So one of the things we wanna do while we got the tires off is just kind of visually inspect things under here. It's really important to do while you got everything apart. So the first thing we wanna do is just look at the brake rotor. Now this Jeep doesn't have a lot of miles on it. The brake rotor is nice and smooth. There's no ridge on the end. It's nice and smooth all around. It's not scalloped anywhere or worn in any way. This is totally normal wear. It's shiny. They will rust, but the rust comes off as soon as you hit the brakes. The other thing we want to do is just look at our brake pads. So right there at the tip of my finger, I think you can see it, is the brake pad. It's nice and thick on both sides. All the way down. It looks like it's wearing pretty evenly. The caliper's not leaking at the banjo bolt, and the caliper looks to be in good shape and is in good position. So that all looks good. The brakes look good. This is the line for your ABS sensor, and it's anchored well and doesn't really seem to be out of place or frayed or damaged in any way, and is running right where it's supposed to. The shock looks like it's in pretty good shape. It's not leaking fluid. It's bolted in good. Coil spring looks good. And just kind of visually inspect bolts, make sure nothing's bent under here or anything, or wires frayed or anything like that. So that's pretty much what you're looking for. Just making sure everything's nice and tight, just checking your tie rod ends, kind of moving them. There shouldn't be any play in them at all. So there's not in this Jeep. It's pretty new. Your track bar here, just, you know, looking and making sure everything looks okay. It doesn't take but just a few seconds and it'll keep your Jeep healthier. So that's the game here, is just to keep the Jeep healthy and running as long as it can with as little like major problems as possible. They all have problems, but we want to keep those to as much of a minimum as possible. So this side looks really good. We're just going to go to the other side and look around and do the back real quick. We'll go ahead and get to the back now, and I'll show you that, and then I'll do the other side. So we come back here again. We're just checking the shock. The shock mount looks good. Shock looks really good. This has got a big old stone protector on it. These are the shocks that came with the 2-inch lift, the Mopar Performance lift. You can see there, that is the lift that this Jeep is running. Coil springs look like they're in good shape, good position. Bump stop. Again, checking the brake rotor, making sure there's no wear on it. And there's a little window back here to look at the brake pad. Again, we can see the brake pad. It's in really good shape there. Can't really see the other brake pad that well because of the way this caliper's made. You can kind of see it in there, but it's pretty small, but I can see it well enough. I don't know if you can pick it up on camera right in here. And it's really wearing well. Again, no leak from the banjo bolt. And the brake lines all in good shape, good position. ABS line coming in, all in good shape. Sway bar mount, sway bar. Everything back here looks really good, just as it should. So I'm gonna do the other side real quick, and then we're gonna get the tires rotated and get this thing buttoned up, and I'll show you how to do that. So one thing we're looking at here, this is a front tire, came off the front driver's side. We're just looking for any scalloping of the tread or any uneven wear. This is wearing really well. These tires don't have a whole lot of mileage on them, but if you look as the tread pattern goes by, it's very even, still in really good shape. These are those Kenda Cleaver RTs in a 35 by 1050 R17. I really like them. The road noise has been good. I've had them on the truck for about 10,000 miles now. And they seem to be wearing pretty well. They're wearing really evenly. I don't see any bad scalloping or anything, unusual wear on any of the tread. So we're gonna go ahead and get these in position and start getting them bolted up. Okay, so I've got the Jeep back on the ground, tires are rotated, and now we gotta torque them down. So you can probably see in the video, when I first put the tires on, I just kinda snug up the lug nuts with the impact. Just snug them down. You don't got to get them tight. You don't want to tighten them because you need to get them tightened to torque spec. Some of these impact wrenches will generate a ridiculous amount of torque. They can damage the stud, they can damage the lug bolt, etc. So, lug nut rather, etc. So, best thing to do is to get a torque wrench and then torque them down to the appropriate torque spec. So I always have to look that up. It's around 120 pound-feet, but let me look it up real quick and confirm, and we'll get that done. All right, so I looked it up and it was a little off. It's not 120 pound-feet, it's 130 pound-feet of torque. So we're gonna get our torque wrench out. I'm gonna show you that and show you how to set it. So this is our torque wrench. It's a Tekton. I'm gonna post the link in the description. I got this on Amazon for about $65. These are excellent tools. They make really, really good tools, good heavy-duty torque wrench. And it's got a veneer scale down on it, so you can see the scale there goes from about 25 pound-feet all the way up to 250 pound-feet. So the way that we're going to do this, so the way that we do this is we loosen the set screw back here on the back, and then we start to turn this till we get it up to about 100. And there's 125 right there. So you line up the 0 right there with the 125 mark there on the line here, and then we can just go up to 10. So that's gonna be 130. So we'll just go until the handle reads 10 on the line, and that should be actually 5 on the line, correction. So that was at 125 pound-feet. So that should be 130 pound-feet right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and tighten up the set bolt back here, the set screw, so it can't loosen up on me and stay. And then we're just gonna torque these. So show you how to do that. So righty tighty, lefty loosey, and we're just gonna put it on there, and we're gonna Actually had that the right way, the other way. So we're gonna pull up until it clicks. You can hear that click. I'm gonna do it one more time. And then you wanna do this in a star fashion. So one up top. So we're gonna come across from it to here. Got that, and then we're gonna come over to this one, come across from it, and tighten until we get that. And I'm doing 2 clicks just to make sure. We're gonna come across again. And finally to this one. Now I like to, you don't have to do this, but I like to do them twice because as you torque this down, that wheel may shift just a little bit against the brake and the wheel hub, which could back the torque off of one of the bolts. So I always like to go at least twice around and just check my torques. That one's good. And that's it. And that's how you torque a tire down. So really important, you don't want to overstress the threads on your lug bolts, the wheel studs, and you don't want to overstress the lug nuts either. So really important to torque them to the proper spec. Now obviously if you're out in the bush, in the backwoods, you're just going to have to tighten them down with German torque and kind of take a guess, and that'll get you home. But when you do get home, if you have to change the tire out there, you need to make sure and check the torque when you get back to civilization. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the other ones now, and we'll close out the video. All right, so that is basically all there is to rotating your tires. It's pretty easy, pretty self-explanatory. You want to make sure and back the torque wrench off to its lowest setting all the way down. This one recommends actually to be stored at 25 pound-feet. It is a Tekton Torque wrench, and I'm going to put a link in the description. I got it on Amazon. They have very good prices. I'm sure you can get it from other sources as well, but that's where I got it from. So please check that out if you need a good torque wrench. I also use Rigid power tools. Really like their stuff. They've got a great warranty through Home Depot if you get them from there. And that Rigid impact actually has an auto setting for tightening so that it won't over torque. It will just go down, kind of hammer it a couple times and stop. You can hammer it further and tighten it up more if you pull the trigger again, but it kind of adds for a little bit of an extra added safety measure to keep you from over torquing something or spinning something off or something like that. So really like both of those tools. They make these jobs a lot easier. Like I said, or if I didn't say already, the electric cordless impacts are great. I used to use an air impact. It was really loud. The compressor had to run, etc. But now with this one, it's quiet. It only makes noise when you're using it, and I can throw it in the back of the truck with a couple of batteries when I go out, and it would make changing the tire a whole heck of a lot easier. So I'd highly recommend, if you don't have a cordless impact of some sort, whether it be a Ryobi, DeWalt, whatever your brand is, I would highly recommend you get one. So, hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you guys that maybe you're new to Jeeps or new to working on vehicles get something out of this and maybe can learn from it and learn that there's not a lot to this. You can do it at home with minimal tools and just some simple hand tools. Really makes Jeep ownership a little bit more rewarding when you're doing the work yourself. And it can also save you some money to put towards modifications or things you want to add. So I'm Landon. This is Order the Traveling Hats. I hope to see you guys out there. I hope you like this content. If you do, please like and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next video.